Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.
It is the Monday after from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio, Birmingham's Hospital Radio Network, providing top-class coverage across the wards, across Birmingham and Solihull every weekend. And we've had very much a pick and mix of action over the course of this weekend. We've made a bit of history as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. I'm Ben Ellis. I'll be in the chair for the next half hour to 40 minutes, talking about everything that we've got. I've got a very esteemed panel. I've got Ed Mackay, I've got Paddy Silk, Jonathan Wimbush, I've got Nathan Richards and Kim Smith all lined up to have their say on the weekend's action, which is absolutely marvellous. So we said it's a mixed bag, and we're going to start with the bit of history that we brought you this weekend. For the first time, we brought you live National League action as Solihull Moors took on Gateshead at Dampson Park. And Ed Mackay, who is with us, was there. How you doing, Ed?
Oh, what a fool. I had myself muted. My apologies. I am very well, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. And Nathan, were you there as well, Nathan?
Yes, I was.
Yes,
indeed.
you was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent stuff. It's a defeat for Solihull Moors. I watched the 5-minute highlights of this. You can obviously put more sort of meat on the bones. They shouldn't have lost, really, by what I saw. But a missed penalty punished a minute later.
Yeah, they were by far the better team footballing wise, but they wanted it less. That's the way to describe it. And I did put that to the manager afterwards, Chris Millington.
We're going to hear that. We're going to hear that in just a moment.
Okay.
So,
okay. Apologies. So jumping ahead
that's
there.
Fine.
But they scored within 6 minutes, Ben, and they were so dominant. They looked so slick. But as soon as they scored, they just retreated and let Gateshead come on to them, which they dealt with well in the first half. But after they conceded and it was 1-1 in the second half, Gateshead looked like the team fighting for their lives. And I don't know if Nathan agrees with this, but
yeah,
it was a bit disappointing, really, for the fans.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, definitely. I think the weird part was it was like when they scored, it gave them a bit of a wound somehow. That they scored and then they did the classic just sit back and hope it ends 1-0, which I thought was just not the way to go into that game, especially considering Gateshead at the moment are 23rd. They're fighting to stay up. Solihull are bang in middle of the table. They've got nothing to fight for in terms of playoffs. They're not fighting relegation. So I would have expected them to go a little bit more into it and try to, took the win. But then heading to the end of the first half, Gateshead equalised. And then heading into the second half, I don't think any team was actually particularly good. It was very sloppy, classic National League football. And I think that the two players I noticed were the likes of Sonope and Wilkinson up front for Solihull. They just kind of dropped off and didn't look too bothered. Then, of course, they missed a penalty and then got punished a minute or two later.
And that was one of the great goal-mouth scrambles, wasn't it, for the winning goal for Gateshead?
Oh, never seen anything like it. I mean, to be honest, the goalkeeper, he was doing admirable work, scrabbling around on the floor, but his defenders were all backing off. And of course, the Gateshead attacker put the ball in the back of the net.
I think they saved it about 7 times.
Yeah, that was the thing. But the problem was, after they missed that penalty, you could see they reserved themselves to the fact they weren't going to score again. And that's not really good enough if you're going to fight for a win. That's how I would put it.
Well, you did mention, Ed, that you had a chat with the manager, Chris Millington, as soon as the action was done. We're going to hear that right now.
The one thing I really wanted to ask you is, what was your message to the team at half-time? Because it felt like you were in control of the first half, and I thought you proved that you were the better footballing team. But I felt like the players didn't believe that in the second half. Is that how you saw it?
It's not dissimilar to recent performances against the likes of Eastleigh and Hartlepool, where we've been in control and created numerous chances, really good chances, and not taken them. today was no different, and then we come out and it's, we're a bit Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
We can be absolutely devastating for spells in games going forward, and then we can be incredibly naive and soft in our defensive structure for periods as well. So
because that slide rule through ball looked to be the way to get at them in the first half, didn't it?
Really hurt them. But you can't do that for 90-95 minutes. You've got to have the opposition are going to do things that try and undermine you and try and hurt you, and you've got to be resilient in those moments, and that's what we're sorely lacking at the minute.
And how upset was Wilkinson after the penalty miss? Was he devastated as the fans?
He's held his hands up. He knows he's better than that. But listen, it's not just that opportunity. There's plenty of players who've missed really good opportunities today. That's just one of a litany of good chances we've squandered, and we're not good enough defensively to be squandering those opportunities we have to take.
How do you see the rest of the season unfolding? Is it about fighting harder, or is there something you feel you need to change?
No, I mean, listen, we've changed the shape to try and give them a bit more support defensively. We've tried to get a bit more stature in the team and give ourselves some more resilience for set pieces, but you get to a stage where actually the players have got to deliver a bit more and find that within themselves, and today's a great example of that.
So defeat for Solihull Moors, as Nathan was saying there, the season's pretty much petering out. I mean, there might be some parallels for some of our teams further up the pyramid that we'll get to a little bit later on. But what about, guys, the experience of the National League? Obviously, this was a new thing for BHBN. We're spoilt, really, of being able to go to some of the biggest grounds and biggest stadiums. I mean, what was it like going back to? It's not grassroots level, because I think there's actually some serious money inside the National League. There's some proper football clubs in there. But what was it like? Was it an interesting change to the norm for you?
I was impressed, actually. I thought the crowd were absolutely committed to the cause. They all huddled round the tunnel. I saw kids getting shirts signed after the game. So I thought that side of it was impressive, but also just the way they welcomed us and sort of embraced the idea that they were getting covered today. I, I thought was really, really positive, and I'm sure Nathan has his own thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the main things as well was seeing some of the players. I mean, we had lots of, ex-youngsters of Premier League teams and Championship sides. So it's kind of nice seeing, some of our up-and-coming players who are, very new to the world of professional football, with some of those that have been there for years. I mean, some of them are in the late 30s and they played in the Premier League 20 or 30 or 40 appearances. So that was nice. But as Ed said as well, the access we got as well, obviously being able to talk to Chris at the end of the game and a couple of the other media guys that were there were very helpful. And it was just, really good experience. And hopefully we can do a lot more coverage for them this season and in the future.
Well, that's certainly the case. And I think it's important that we put it out there that, look, there are international breaks coming up. There are weekends where if your team's out of a cup competition, you're not going to get your fix of football. Non-league is definitely the place to go, as well as women's football as well. It doesn't just begin and end with the football that you generally follow on a Saturday afternoon. There's always something out there to go and see and take in and embrace. I'm glad everybody agrees. I'll take that as a silence.
We're nodding along. We're nodding along. Absolutely.
A thumbs up from Kim, a nod from Paddy. I'm sure Enton was clicking his fingers as well. Jonathan Wimbush is celebrating anyway, which we'll get to in just a moment. But you will hear a lot more about Solihull Moors on BHBN and the Monday after going forward. That is an absolute guarantee. Let's go to the Championship then, and celebrate a success story in many ways. West Bromwich Albion getting a point against Sheffield United, but John, fair play, they earned that point. There's no question about that. They did everything you want your team to do when they go away from home to a difficult place. They fought, they scrapped, they clawed, scored a very good goal as well, and I didn't see that coming. I'm sure many West Brom fans didn't see that coming, but you'll definitely take it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a point that keeps West Brom above the relegation zone. Obviously, with results elsewhere, with Oxford winning, beating Preston on Friday, and Leicester getting a point out of Ipswich, which was a surprise as well for the weekend. It was nice to get a point out of Bramall Lane, a place where, given the context of the season, we weren't really expected to get anything out of. Sheffield United, a very good team, had a bit of a blip at the start of the season. There was one point where both Sheffield clubs were the bottom two in the Championship, but Sheffield United has managed to claw themselves out into mid-table. And yeah, it was George Campbell, West Brom's defender, who ended up scoring 2 goals in a 1-1 draw. So yeah, it was okay. Like first half, neither team had a shot on target really. So no surprise, it went in half time at 0-0. But then a low cross from Sheffield United. George Campbell, you could see what he was trying to do. He was trying to get it out behind for a corner, but he inadvertently turned it into his own net, and Sheffield United were 1-0 ahead. But that didn't phase George Campbell one bit, because he made up for it half an hour later, more than made up for it, with an absolute thunderbolt from outside the area into the bottom corner, and yeah, rescued a point single-handedly. Did
Well,
George Campbell?
he's getting all the goals at the moment, isn't he? He scored
He
against
is.
Charlton, didn't he?
Yeah,
That was Eric Ramsey's last game. I began to worry from your point of view yesterday. I think it was about 2 minutes before the own goal. Isaac Price is through one on one and completely fluffs it. And I thought, oh, you can't be blowing chances like this. 2 minutes later, Campbell, awkward ball for him across the 6 yard line. It's one of those one stick or twist as far as the defender's concerned. He gets something
yeah,
on it, puts it past Olu. But as you say, the equaliser was terrific. What was noticeable for me, though, John, and anybody else can come in with this if they want, the difference having a fit Jason Malumbi in the middle of the park makes to this team.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
are not the rollover. They don't have that soft underbelly that they've had against teams in the previous few weeks. Might not have saved Eric Ramsey, but he could have done with a Jason Malumbi.
Yeah, absolutely. And also James Morrison, he changed the formation from a 3-2-4-1 to a classic 4-4-2. I believe for the first time this season, West Brom actually started rather, Davil DK and Ona Hegabo at the same time. And yeah, it really hurt Sheffield United for a bit. But yeah, we got to put the chances away. Creating chances isn't a problem for West Bromwich Albion. It's actually scoring them and making them count that's been the issue all season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm put to
Jonathan,
yeah. Go on,
I was going to ask you one question. Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to ask you one question. Don't you feel like if you get some attackers on the pitch, you got more chance of scoring a goal? And the thing is, it's now or never, right? And
Yeah,
so why not throw the kitchen sink at it and actually try and score some goals and win some games? You need points at this point.
yeah, of course. And we've been relying too heavily on the midfielders. We're getting the goals. Mikey Johnston, who's now out for the rest of the season with a stress fracture on his ankle. We've been relying on him. Isaac Price, trying to rely on him for goals, but as Ben said, completely missing chances he's getting. Davide DK, Ona Hegabo, Josh Maja, our three strikers, not scoring at all, to be honest. So yeah, it's a case of all our attacking minded players just don't seem to be finding the back of the net as of late. And of course, it was down to a defender, albeit a situation he created with the own goal, actually like getting us out of another away defeat, because it would have been another away defeat, and rescuing a point which keeps us above the bottom three.
No, I'm going to come in there. Sorry,
I was going to come to
Ben.
you anyway, Paddy. Go on.
I'm going to say 4-4-2. You can't beat, can you, mate? I'm a big
Absolutely not.
believer in 4-4-2, mate. I bet Ben
Well,
believes in that as well. I know, I bet.
yeah. How many
Old school.
managers tie themselves in knots by trying to reinvent the wheel, right? With these formations and these, they
Yeah,
say square pegs in round holes kind of things. Just
yeah,
if you need a result, just break it down to its simplest form: 4-4-2. Players in the right positions. Now,
yeah,
what's interesting about this for me is, Paddy, they might not have the quality they might still go down. But if they go down playing like they played at Sheffield United, the fans are more likely to forgive them and support them in trying to come back than the way they have been playing as of late.
Yeah, you're right, Ben. John John's on there to the West Brom fan, but you're right. If they go down fighting, or if they go, if they don't put the effort in, and the fans won't forgive them. Any team, I guess, for any team that we were supporting within the Midlands football arena. But you're right. But that Thunderbolt was fantastic. I've got to be honest with you, that was some goal, mate. And that's.
Yeah.
But I will come back to that bit though, Jonathan. I still think the manager was a wrong move. I still think they should have brought in someone like Warnock or something like that. That was for me. I know we're going back to Harry Warnock. Even Sir Alex had put in there.
Well,
old managers.
Paddy, we talked about this on another show, which we're not going to publicise because it's for another radio station. But we were talking about the potential to have Neil Warnock, and he's weighed it up. Torquay, sunny South Coast, English Riviera on one hand, Oldbury on the other.
Doesn't matter.
Which are you going to?
I choose Oldbury.
Hold on. West Brom had the opportunity to approach him weeks and weeks before Torquay. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That they could have got, and they're a much bigger club. That it was the obvious move. As soon as they pointed at Ramsey, I mentioned Warnock. I just can't believe they didn't go for tried and tested over learning on the job.
And West Brom, of course, decision. And West Brom, of course, is the highest level above sea level. It's the highest in the ground in the country. So
Spidella Zeus.
That actually counts. So the worry there is who people with football nous, like your Neil Warnocks, although they're addicted to the challenge a lot of the time. I don't think anybody would want this at the moment from this club, and I think it's what they've got to do now. I mean, it's pointless talking about it because James Morrison's got it for at least the rest of the season. 2 home games now. Coming up this weekend. This midweek it's Southampton, isn't it? And then on Saturday, remind me, John.
It's Hull at the Hawthorns.
Hull City. Okay, and they're one of the teams going for the playoffs who have hit the wall just lately. But Southampton just coming off the back of beating Fulham in the FA Cup, and one of those teams that are banging form, chasing the playoff place. So. Won't be easy on Wednesday night for sure. What would you settle for? 4 points from 6, or I mean, you want all 6, but would you settle for 4?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough week regardless with those two teams. Both in form. But yeah, I think 4 points would be a decent return for the week. So yeah, a couple of home games which we will be covering. But yeah, I'd settle for 4 points on that.
Okay.
Your hand off.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. And looking at all of the other results, I keep thinking about Blackburn away on Easter Monday. I think that's got a hell of a ring to it over the next few weeks. But there we are. Staying in the Championship, Kim Smith is with us. Kim, what's gone wrong?
I don't know. They'd been going really well. I think they'd had about 8 or 9 games with really good results, and then the wheels have come off a bit again. And certainly, when I was in the final hour of the show yesterday, I was having a quick flick through social media, and the sort of Blues Twitter was absolutely raging. Obviously it's a 3-game week this week. There was Charlton away, which, as we know, didn't go well, and then there's QPR and Sheffield United at home this week. And I think Blues have got to try and remember that home form. Obviously they've now lost a 2nd game at home, but I think we also need to remember that that's the only 2 games at home Blues have lost since Chris Davis has been there, just to retain a bit of proportion. But yeah, it's mystifying because for the goal that Charlton beat them with, it was exactly the same process as the goal that beat them at Charlton last season. It was from a long throw. And I don't know whether that means the team haven't done enough homework or whether it's just players forgetting stuff when they're on the pitch. But they need to really need to pull themselves together a bit, I think, for Wednesday, because QPR are going to come to Blues thinking, well, they're not having a very good spell at the moment. We could get something out of this.
Well, I watched QPR today, and I would back Blues, quite frankly. They got absolutely battered by Middlesbrough today. It's funny how the fixtures interlock. You just played Middlesbrough now just play QPR, and QPR are coming to... It's like whoever does the fixtures is like one of those 3-card tricks and follow the card. You playing there, you playing there, you playing there, and they all seem to lock together. But
I have to say, on the Birmingham thing, I understand that a run of bad results is disheartening, but I do have to say, like, it's important to stay positive about where you're at compared to what the plan is.
Yeah,
I
well, I
know
was going to come to Nathan on this.
Yes.
As
Sorry, go to Nathan. He's the Birmingham fan. Apologies.
You don't, Nathan, want the season to just peter out into nothing. I mean, the gap can be made up to the playoffs mathematically, so you shouldn't count that out. There probably at this stage are too many teams in form in front of Blues ahead in the playoff push. But it's a question on what Knighthead judges success or what they judges as acceptable, given the financial outlay that they've put out. But I mean, we've said on this show a couple of weeks, and we said it during the transfer window as well with Ed's window of opportunity show. I think people may have been carried away with the business that was done in January. My feeling was the signings that were made in January were to prepare for next season. I mean, it would be a bonus if they got into the playoffs this season for sure. But I think the players that they brought in, 6 months in the club, feet under the table, know what it's all about, full pre-season under Chris Davies, and then start like a train in August. I think that's the plan, personally. What about you?
I think when you look at it, I mean, we was on a good run just before that window started. Then, of course, it carried on, and you bring in the new players, and people think, well, hang on, is this to do with the fact we bought 6 new players in, and we're all of a sudden winning loads of games? I think that's definitely got a part to play. But then again, very quickly, we can revert to how we've been recently. We lose 3 games on the trot, and it just looks like everything's failing. I mean, after QPR and Sheffield United, our final 8 games, we play Derby, who are obviously fighting for playoffs, Ipswich, Wrexham, Hull, Preston, Bristol, all in that mix. And then you've got Blackburn and Portsmouth, who are fighting to stay up. I mean, you look at those 8 games, every team there has got something to fight for. At the moment, we haven't. So I'm a little bit worried for that, because I'm thinking, is Chris Davies just going to think, right, the season's over, we're not going to fight for playoffs, we're not worried relegation, let's just get through the season. That's what I don't want, but I think from what we've done even last season as well, I'm worried that could be the case, that we might just let the wheels fall off and get to the end of the season and try again.
How do you see a lot of Blues? What do you think about it?
Solihull Moors.
It's interesting, as what you've said about the plan for next season. There is an argument. I get talking to Blues fans out and about saying, has the manager gone? I know it's a bit drastic. Has it gone as far as he can? Is if it does peter out, maybe this losing streak carries on? Will these Knighthead people? Again, who knows the plan? Would they pull the lever? That's all. I'm a little bit sceptical. That's the problem with human beings, and we are on footballers. Once we lose 3 or 4 games, we go, and I'm fault for myself. We go, oh well, the manager's not up, he's not going to win. But we are going to stay positive. And if they beat QPR, then we're back on it again onward. But they lose or draw. I'm just thinking about the future. Like you said about the plan, Ben. Is it? Will they be happy with the management next season if it just peters out like this?
That's the question. That's the $64,000 question, as they say. I was following the game with my dad, who is a Blues fan. I'm not going to go into details here. During half-time against Middlesbrough, he made his feelings very clear on the phone to myself and Kim when we were at St. even though he really did. And a lot of those were along the lines of what Kim was just saying about what she saw on social media. Now, whether this is gathering any kind of traction or not, who knows? One point I mean, does anybody else feel? And if I make accusations, I get, oh, he's a Blues fan. Well, or he's he's a Villa fan. What does he know? Blah 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 blah. You know, the money they paid for Jay Stansfield, right? The return, I think, is shocking.
Yeah,
Quite frankly,
I agree.
now it's not his fault. It's never a player's fault what a transfer fee is. But Ed,
Well, Nathan and I had a bit of a debrief after the
Yeah.
Solihull Moors game, and he was making this exact point. And he was saying there's been a lot of outlay on a lot of players who haven't had the impact they should have.
okay, thank you.
My
I thought you were
my
going to add. I thought
my
you were going to go on
argument
there,
is,
but you
sorry,
paused as
sorry.
if
Yeah, I
okay.
did mean to. My argument is that there seems to be a real strategy around the signings they've made in this transfer window compared to
Yeah.
previous transfer windows. Now, Nathan did mention Jay Stansfield, but also Kyogo, the right back who's found. I can't, his name's not
Right.
coming to mind right now. Right, that's it. Yeah, and these players have been bought for big money. They failed, but they've always got more money to recycle and invest again. Which does that tell the tale of a team that have ambition but don't necessarily have a lot of strategy behind them. But I think this last window they have had
Mhm.
strategy. I think these players do make sense, but you've got to stick with the manager. Otherwise, you're starting all over again. That's my
Yeah,
personal view.
Well, they certainly won't
yeah,
get the money back that they paid for Jay Stansfield
No.
because if he's if he's generally accepted now that he's a mid championship level, maybe even League One player, no club in at that level is going to pay the kind of money that Birmingham City paid to get him in. So they are going to have to take a hit on that and go 3-4 years down the line. What you've spent is going to sort of add up,
Yeah.
and PSR comes into it, whatever level you're at. So it's something that they do have to bear in mind if they're going to let players like Jay Stansfield go. If he's not part of the long term plans, they're going to have to try and get as much money as they possibly can for him. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's all right having wealthy owners, but they've got to have a solid
yeah.
plan to keep the books as balanced as they can. I'm prepared to accept that they have. We'll see where they go from here on in. It is the Monday after from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to go to Friday night in the FA Cup under the lights at Molineux.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
The Monday after from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio. Like we said, it's been a real mixed bag. We've had National League, we've had EFL. We started on Friday night, live commentary across the wards in the FA Cup of Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Liverpool 3. We've got two Liverpool fans with us here. So we got one Wolves fan in Jonathan Wimbush. So let's let's see how it goes. Enton Barefoot is with us, and we haven't had a chance to talk with Enton yet so far. You were there. You were watching your team.
Yeah.
Fascinating because obviously this was the same fixture 3 days on from Wolves winning in the Premier League. At half time, I put in our WhatsApp group, this is identical this first half to what happened on Tuesday night, but the second half certainly wasn't, and Liverpool flexed their muscles.
I think it's a bit of both. I think that Liverpool in that second half they found more gaps and they kind of used the ball better and with the decisions of how they're going to break Wolves down. I think what Wolves basically did was as soon as they get like 3/4 back, they went all five at the back on the 18-yard box. It was like programmed. As soon as there was a certain point where you just think, right, okay, we've got to get back. We've got to get five back. We can't let them get behind us. And I think Andrew was saying, we were talking about that as well, just saying just how much of the defensive mindedness of the latter half of the game. Wolves found themselves doing that, and I think Robinson scored a good goal. But then it didn't. It seemed it didn't encourage Wolves to come out and play and just, okay, well, let's see if we can go and get an equaliser. So, and then obviously the second one went in, and it just seemed a different performance from the one in the Premier League, where Wolves just it got the last minute winner and played differently. So it just had a different feel.
Ed, you were at the Premier League game. Your luck was out with the one that you picked to go and see. What did you make of both games, really? Because they're both relevant right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tuesday night, the disparity for me is that Wolves had nothing to play for on Tuesday, other than pride, of course, and they want to up that points tally. They're not going to stay up. I mean, this ridiculous talk of, oh, is there a chance? No, there's no chance. You're going down. But FA Cup glory, they're only a couple of games away from having a trip to Wembley, and that's I think what they should have concentrated on. Whereas Liverpool needed the 3 points on Tuesday to close the gap. We'd actually been in fourth based on the results of Villa and Chelsea and Man United. And they just didn't turn up. I mean, the intensity that Liverpool showed in the second half against Wolves was incredible. But why don't they do that on Tuesday night? It's so frustrating.
That's your problem.
I mean,
it's not my problem.
Yeah,
I'm not got to concern myself with.
I just
with
come
that.
back quickly, if you wouldn't mind, on that.
Yes, carry on.
Ed's just nailed it, because it was the Liverpool's intensity. It went up another level, and you just think, why are we seeing this just now? It was like, where was this the other night? Yeah. So it just felt that way. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a general debate. I mean, because it's two Liverpool fans. What do you make of Arne Slot moaning about the quality of football and the set pieces and all of that? I mean, he'd be the first one out of his seat if they scored with a header from a corner in the last minute of stoppage time, wouldn't he?
What he needs to do is say less, as they say, because in all honesty, I know where he's coming from. I know what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, like, we built a team to play a certain style, and all of a sudden, the style of the whole league's changed. And I get that. Your job is to realise that and adapt and overcome it. I get he's frustrated, but he should stop talking about that and just get results. That's my view.
I mean, I was going to say, Paddy, Jurgen Klopp built a team to win football matches and win trophies. And that team was already there in place for him when he came in. And now he says, I want to build a team to play a certain style.
Yeah, strange, it's hard. I mean, there are some good players they've got there, but like you say, Jurgen Klopp, they were lucky last year, the 2 years they had Jurgen Klopp's side, didn't they? And now it's all broken up a little bit now, and players are aging. Yeah, it's strange. I find that hard about a different style, I must say. Do you think that's a cop-out, Ben? I don't know what the lads think.
I don't know. That's a good pun, though. Cop-out with two Liverpool fans here.
I'll
didn't mean that,
one
by the way,
thing.
cop-out.
No, that's okay. I'll say one thing. First of all, Klopp didn't win the league with that team. Second of all, that team, the creativity came from certain players, all of whom are not present now. So they had to rebuild. Trent went, Diaz went. Obviously, Jota, who was the best presser in the team, sadly passed away. And I have to say, I really am, like, my heart wells up when I see Liverpool play Wolves, and the whole crowd literally claps for that guy. But they had to rebuild. All of the players who offered you the creativity and the pressing that allowed Klopp to do what he did are no longer in that team. So he is starting again a little bit, just to give him a little bit of bit of grace. But I have to say, Rob Edwards can be well proud of what he's achieving at Wolves.
Absolutely. And
Can I just make a comment about Wolves as well, Ben? It's just that they didn't. You'd expect them to have the after the victory in midweek. You'd think, like, right, okay, we've got one up, we've got one over on these. Let's keep that momentum. Let's keep that intensity. But after the first half was okay, but then it just dwindled, and you just think, come on, you've beat these Wednesday, Tuesday night. They're not in the midweek. Like your manager's talk should be, let's remember what we did to them, and it just filtered out.
Yeah, absolutely. We do wind him up because he's a West Brom fan who goes to plenty of Wolves games. But Jonathan Wimbush, I mean, what do you think? I mean, they got a Brentford on Monday night now. I mean, is that what they're going to do for the rest of the season? Is try and stay in each game they play as long as they can, and maybe nick something late on?
Yeah, I believe so. And that's what they did a couple of weeks ago against Arsenal. They were 2-0 down, but they managed to get the next goal, which was absolutely vital, and they got a draw out of that. But yeah, I mean, if before last Tuesday, you'd be forgiven for thinking that Liverpool would have rolled Wolves over in both games. It didn't happen that way, and credit to Wolves and Rob Edwards. He's basically dragged that team up a couple of notches. Got a few more points, no longer the worst Premier League team in terms of points collected in a single season. And that's Rob Edwards' management. That's his doing. That's his backroom staff's doing as well, with all the team talks that he's done over the past few months as well. And Wolverhampton Wanderers, Burnley fans must be worrying that they might be the ones finishing bottom this season, because they're within 3 points of Burnley now. So
absolutely,
it's they might not even finish bottom now. And
final word on Wolves, Nathan Richards. You've been to a few Wolves games for BHBN.
Yes, indeed. It's nice to see them finally pick something up. And I think one thing I mentioned when I went with Andrew was that the ground has so much hostility, especially in that Chelsea game against the referee. And it shows that even though they know they're going to lose, they've got passion. And that's what you need to keep on fan base.
Ben Ellis.
When they go down, I've got no doubt that we will see the whole way through in the Championship, whether they come up or whether they suffer from other issues. I think they'll come up anyway. But I think the good thing is the fan base are there with them, and that's what they need to just push forward heading into a new season. And there's players in that team which are probably too good for the Championship, but some of them, I think, might want to stay with Wolves and help rebuild and go back into the Premier League and turn into a different beast, a bit like what Birmingham were hoping to do this season.
Well, it'll be interesting to see from that point of view. Very busy week that lies ahead, as we know. Midweek in the Championship, West Brom against Southampton, Blues against QPR. Small matter of the Europa League, last 16 in Lille. Not worried about that at all on Thursday. And then more action on Saturday. Yeah, more action on Saturday, and the small matter of Man United Villa next Sunday as well in the Premier League. And we'll be back to talk about that and all of the action, and who knows how things will be looking this time next week. We urge you to keep checking out all of our platforms, because we've added Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter now. So just search for BHBN Sport in all of those. You'll find us. Give us a follow, like and share the content, and we would appreciate it very much, as well as TikTok and YouTube. And as we said, the Monday after will return a week from today. For Kim Smith, Nathan Richards, I'll give you your own country there, Nathan. Nathan Richards, Enter Barefoot, Jonathan Wimbush, Paddy Silk, also Ed Mackay. Have I left anybody out? I don't think I have. There we go. I'm Ben Ellis. This has been the Monday After.
Birmingham Sports with Ben Ellis. This is BHBN Radio.